Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop searching for love, attention finds you instead? Not louder attention, not desperate attention, but quiet, curious attention. The kind that feels different. For a long time, being single feels like waiting. Waiting to be chosen, waiting to be validated, waiting for life to finally begin. That waiting slowly trains the mind to chase, to perform, to bend just enough to be accepted. And most people never realize how visible that hunger is. Stoic philosophy offers a hard but liberating truth. Detachment is not loss, it is power. When you stay single long enough, something inside you stabilizes. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop leaking urgency into the world. And that shift changes your presence. People sense when you're no longer trying to fill a void. They feel when your life is already full. Today, we explore why staying single longer doesn't make you lonely. It makes you magnetic. Reason 1. You stop broadcasting neediness. There is a quiet pain most people never talk about. The pain of wanting to be chosen. The pain of checking your phone a little too often. The pain of wondering why effort doesn't seem to be enough. When you stay single for a long time, that pain eventually forces a confrontation. You begin to see how much of your behavior was shaped by fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being forgotten, fear of being replaceable. Without realizing it, those fears leak out. They show up in over-texting, over-explaining, over-giving. And people feel it. Even if they can't explain why, they sense the pressure underneath your presence. This is where something important happens. When you stop chasing relationships, you stop broadcasting neediness. Not because you've become cold, but because you've learned to sit with yourself. You learn that loneliness won't kill you. Silence won't erase you. Being unchosen doesn't mean you are unworthy. That realization hurts at first. It feels like withdrawal, like standing still while the world keeps moving, but slowly, something steadies inside you. You stop reaching for people to regulate your emotions. You stop using attention as reassurance. You stop asking others to confirm your value, and that absence of need creates space. People are drawn to what doesn't demand them. When someone feels they're being pulled into a role, rescuer, validator, emotional anchor, they instinctively resist. But when you stand complete, not asking, not leaning, not chasing, the dynamic shifts. You are no longer trying to extract something from the interaction. You are simply present. That presence feels different. It feels calm instead of tense, grounded instead of hungry, unforced instead of performative. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Attraction isn't built by wanting someone, it's built by not needing them. The moment you stop sending the signal, "I need you to feel whole," you start sending a stronger one. "I am already whole." And that signal is rare, especially in a world where most people are quietly begging to be chosen. Staying single long enough rewires this instinct. You no longer approach others from lack. You approach them from fullness. And fullness doesn't chase. It doesn't rush. It doesn't explain itself. It waits. And people notice that. Reason 2, your standards quietly rise. There is a moment that comes after prolonged singleness that most people don't expect. It's not loneliness, it's clarity. At first, being single feels like rejection. You replay conversations. You question your worth. You wonder if lowering your standards might finally bring closeness back into your life. Many people do exactly that. They accept half-effort, mixed signals, emotional confusion. Not because it feels right, but because it feels familiar. The fear of being alone whispers that something is better than nothing. But when you stay single long enough, that voice loses power. You begin to notice how much energy it costs to tolerate what doesn't align. How exhausting it is to explain yourself to someone who isn't listening. How small you feel when you accept attention that comes with conditions. Slowly, your nervous system learns a new truth. Peace is better than proximity. And once that lesson sinks in, your standards rise. Not loudly, not aggressively, but silently and permanently. You stop entertaining inconsistency. You stop negotiating basic respect. You stop mistaking intensity for connection. This is where attraction begins to shift. When your standards rise, you no longer chase potential. You observe behavior. You no longer try to prove you're worthy of someone's time. You let people reveal whether they are worthy of yours. That internal shift is subtle, but powerful. People can feel when they are being evaluated instead of pursued. They sense when access to you is no longer automatic, and that creates gravity. Stoic philosophy teaches that self-respect is not declared. It is demonstrated through boundaries. When you stay single with intention, you train yourself to walk away from what costs your dignity. You don't announce it. You don't threaten it. You simply stop participating. That restraint communicates something words never could. You value yourself enough to be alone rather than misaligned. This is deeply unsettling to people who rely on lowered standards to feel powerful. When someone realizes they can't gain access to you through convenience, charm, or emotional pressure, they pay closer attention. Not because you are playing a game, but because you are no longer available for games. Your calm refusal to settle becomes a quiet signal of strength. And here's the truth many people struggle to accept. Raising your standards will make some people disappear, but it will also make the right ones step forward with intention. Staying single long enough teaches you that attraction is not about being chosen by everyone. It's about being available only to what honors you. That discernment is rare, and rare things are noticed. Reason 3. You become internally anchored. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from relying on others to steady you, the constant emotional checking, the subtle anxiety of waiting for responses, the quiet fear that if someone pulls away, you will collapse with them. Most people don't realize how much of their emotional balance is outsourced to relationships. They call it love, but underneath it is dependence. Mood rises when attention is given. Mood drops when silence appears. Over time, this creates a fragile inner state, one that can be shaken by delayed replies, mixed signals, or emotional distance. Staying single long enough interrupts that pattern. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Without someone to lean on, every emotion feels louder. Sadness has nowhere to hide. Anxiety has no distraction. You are forced to sit with yourself in moments you used to escape through connection. This is where many people run back to relationships too quickly. Not because they found love, but because they couldn't tolerate the stillness. But if you stay, something changes. You begin to regulate yourself. You learn how to calm your own mind. You stop expecting someone else to fix what you haven't faced. Slowly, your emotional center moves inward. You stop bracing for abandonment. You stop scanning for reassurance. You stop tying your sense of safety to someone else's availability. This doesn't make you colder, it makes you grounded. And grounding is deeply attractive. People feel when someone is internally anchored. They feel it in the way you respond instead of react. In this way, you don't rush to fill the silence. In this way, your calm doesn't disappear under pressure. Stoic philosophy teaches that stability comes from mastering your inner world, not controlling the outer one. When you stay single with intention, you practice this daily. You face discomfort without fleeing. You observe emotions without being ruled by them. You learn that feelings pass and that you remain. This creates a quiet authority. When someone meets you, they are not meeting unresolved needs. They are not stepping into emotional chaos. They are encountering a person who stands firmly in themselves. And that creates safety. Not the clingy kind, but the rare kind. The kind that doesn't ask, doesn't demand, doesn't lean too hard. Here is the painful truth most people avoid. Emotional stability is scarce. Many adults are still seeking someone to calm them, validate them, or complete them. When you no longer carry that expectation, you stand out immediately, not because you announce your strength, but because you don't need to prove it. Staying single long enough teaches you this discipline. You stop outsourcing peace. You stop asking others to hold you together. You become someone who can stand alone, not as a defense, but as a foundation. And people are naturally drawn to foundations that don't shake. Reason 4. You stop performing. There is a hidden loneliness that comes from trying to be desirable. Not seen, not chosen, but desirable. It shows up when you edit your words before sending them, when you laugh a little louder than you feel, when you agree too quickly, stay too long, or hide part of yourself just to keep someone interested. Most people don't call this performance. They call it putting in effort. But over time, effort turns into self-erasure. When you stay single for a long time, this performance becomes unbearable. At first, you still do it out of habit. You still feel the urge to impress, to be interesting, to be low maintenance and agreeable. But without an audience to reward that behavior, something inside you starts to question it. You begin to notice how tiring it is to be curated, how disconnected it feels to be liked for a version of yourself that isn't fully real. That realization hurts, because it forces an honest question. If I stop trying to be wanted, will anyone still choose me? Many people never let themselves find out. They stay busy performing so they never have to face the answer. But when you remain single long enough, you run out of energy to keep pretending. And when the performance drops, something unexpected happens. You relax. Your words slow down. Your reactions become more honest. Your presence becomes less polished, but more real. Stoic philosophy teaches that freedom begins when you stop living for external approval. When you are no longer attached to being liked, you regain access to your natural self. And that self, unforced, unedited, unafraid, carries a different kind of gravity. People feel it immediately. There is a calm confidence in someone who is not trying to sell themselves. No exaggeration, no emotional baiting, no quiet anxiety beneath the conversation. Just clarity, just presence, just the truth. And in a world full of people performing versions of themselves to earn love, authenticity feels radical. Here is the painful truth. Performing may attract attention, but it never attracts respect. It creates interest, but not depth. When you stop performing, you may initially feel invisible. Some people will lose interest, not because you became less attractive, but because they were only responding to the performance, and that loss hurts. But what replaces it is far more powerful. When someone chooses you without you trying, without you shrinking, without you entertaining, that connection is clean. It doesn't require constant effort to maintain. It doesn't punish honesty. It doesn't collapse when you stop trying so hard. Staying single long enough teaches you that this kind of connection only appears when you are willing to be fully yourself, even if that means being alone longer. You stop acting, you stop auditioning, you stop proving. And when you do, the right people don't feel entertained by you. They feel drawn to you. Reason 5. Your life fills up and people feel it. There is a quiet emptiness that relationships are often asked to fix. Unstructured time, unfocused energy, a life waiting to be interrupted by someone else. Many people don't realize they are searching for connection not out of love, but out of lack. A lack of direction, a lack of discipline, a lack of meaning when the day ends and there is nothing to point to except another message sent, another hope placed in someone outside themselves. Being single in that state feels unbearable because there is nothing to lean on except the void. But when you stay single long enough, something practical begins to happen. Your life starts to fill, not dramatically, not all at once, but steadily. You begin to build routines because no one else is coming to save your time. You take your work more seriously. You return to neglected goals. You invest energy into your body, your mind, your craft. Even boredom becomes productive because it forces you to create structure where distraction once lived. At first, this feels lonely. You notice how much of your time used to revolve around anticipation, waiting for replies, planning around someone else's availability, mentally rehearsing conversations. When that disappears, the silence is loud. But if you don't escape it, you begin to replace it. Slowly, your days gain weight. Your weeks gain direction. Your identity becomes rooted in what you are building, not who might show up. And people sense this shift immediately. There is a different presence to someone whose life is already in motion, someone whose time feels intentional, someone who is not waiting to be rescued from their own emptiness. Conversations with you don't feel like an obligation or an emotional responsibility. They feel like an invitation into something already whole. Stoic philosophy teaches that fulfillment comes from living in accordance with purpose, not from external attachments. When you stay single with discipline, you stop organizing your life around potential relationships. You organize it around values, work, growth, contribution. And that order creates a gravity of its own. Here is a hard truth most people don't want to face. No one wants to be your purpose. They want to be part of a life that already has one. When your life is empty, connection feels heavy. When your life is full, connection feels light. And people instinctively move toward what feels light. This doesn't mean you become unavailable or emotionally closed. It means you stop offering space that needs to be filled. You offer space that can be shared. There is no urgency in your voice, no quiet hope that someone will give your life meaning. That pressure is gone. And without that pressure, attraction changes. People are drawn to momentum. They are drawn to direction. They are drawn to a sense of this person is going somewhere. Staying single long enough teaches you to build a life that doesn't wait. A life that moves forward whether someone joins it or not. And when someone finally does step closer, they are not stepping into a void. They are stepping into something alive. Reason 6. You become selective with your energy. There is a deep exhaustion that comes from giving too much too soon, replying instantly, explaining everything, opening yourself fully before someone has earned access. Most people don't realize how often they trade energy for hope. I hope that attention will turn into consistency. I hope that effort will turn into commitment. I hope that if they show enough interest, someone will stay. Over time, this creates a painful pattern. The more you give, the less you're valued. Not because generosity is wrong, but because unfiltered access removes all friction. And friction is what creates meaning. Staying single long enough breaks this pattern. At first, the shift feels uncomfortable. You notice how often you used to reach out first, how quickly you used to respond, how much emotional labor you offered without being asked. When you stop doing that, silence appears. And silence can feel dangerous when you've been trained to believe that connection must be constantly maintained or it will disappear. But if you stay with the silence, something clarifies. You realize how much energy you were leaking. How much attention you were giving away unconsciously. How often you were over-investing before trust was built. Slowly, you become more intentional. You no longer feel the need to respond immediately to everything. You don't over-explain your boundaries. You don't rush intimacy. You begin to treat your time, your focus, and your emotional availability as something valuable, not something to be handed out to anyone who asks. This is not withdrawal. This is discernment. Stoic philosophy teaches that attention is one of the few things truly within your control. Where you place it shapes your inner world. When you stay single with awareness, you reclaim that control. You stop allowing external demands to dictate your internal state. You choose when to engage, how deeply to invest, and when to step back. And people feel this immediately. There is a subtle power in someone who does not rush toward others, someone who listens without spilling everything, someone who doesn't chase momentum but allows it to develop naturally. This selectiveness changes the emotional economy of every interaction. You're no longer available on demand. You are present by choice. Here is the painful truth many people avoid. Constant availability does not build closeness. It builds familiarity without value. When your energy is always accessible, it stops being felt. But when your energy is focused, measured, and intentional, it carries weight. People begin to lean in, not because you are withholding, but because you are grounded. Not because you are distant, but because you are deliberate. Not because you are playing hard to get, but because you are no longer easy to access. Staying single long enough teaches you this discipline. You learn that not every message requires a response. Not every connection deserves depth. Not every moment needs to be shared. This restraint is not coldness. It is self-respect in motion. And self-respect changes how people approach you. They sense that your attention is not cheap. They feel that your presence is earned, not assumed. They recognize that being close to you requires intention. That recognition is rare. And rare energy is always attractive. Reason 7. You are no longer afraid to walk away. There is a specific fear that controls most relationships, even when no one names it. The fear of loss. The fear of being replaced. The fear that if you walk away, nothing better will come. This fear is what keeps people over-explaining, over-tolerating, and staying too long in situations that quietly drain them. It's what makes red flags feel negotiable and boundaries feel dangerous. When you believe being alone is worse than being disrespected, you give up your power without realizing it. Staying single long enough dissolves this fear, not overnight, not easily, but gradually, through experience. You learn that loneliness does not destroy you, that evening alone does not erase your value, that life continues and sometimes improves, even when someone exits it. This realization is not romantic. It is sobering, and it changes everything. You stop clinging, you stop bargaining, you stop shrinking yourself to avoid abandonment. For the first time, walking away feels survivable, and that inner freedom is unmistakable. When you are no longer afraid to leave, you no longer tolerate what costs your dignity. You don't issue ultimatums, you don't threaten distance, you simply disengage when something crosses a line. Calmly, quietly, without drama. This is not indifference, it is self-command. Stoic philosophy places enormous emphasis on freedom. Not freedom from others, but freedom from fear. When you are no longer controlled by the fear of loss, you become ungovernable in the most grounded way. No one can manipulate you with withdrawal. No one can control you with uncertainty. No one can keep you by offering less and less. People feel this shift immediately. There's a different energy around someone who knows they will be okay either way. Conversations feel cleaner, boundaries feel firmer, games lose their power. When someone senses that their presence is a choice, not a necessity, the dynamic changes. They either rise to meet you with respect, or they fall away. And both outcomes are victories. Here is the truth that hurts before it liberates. The person who can walk away holds the power, not because they are cold, but because they are free. When you stay single long enough, you internalize this freedom. You stop equating attachment with survival. You stop confusing desire with dependence. You choose connection, not because you fear being alone, but because you want to share what you've built. This makes you magnetic in a way no strategy ever could. Because people are instinctively drawn to those who cannot be controlled by fear. They feel safer around them. They feel clearer around them. They sense that any connection formed will be real, not coerced by insecurity or maintained by anxiety. Staying single long enough teaches you the final, most powerful lesson. You don't need to be chosen to be whole. You don't need to stay to be worthy. You don't need to cling to be loved. And when that fear disappears, attraction stops being something you chase. It becomes something that naturally follows you. What you've heard today is not a dating strategy. It's a shift in identity. Staying single longer doesn't magically make you more attractive. It removes what was blocking your natural gravity in the first place. You stop broadcasting neediness. Your standards rise. You become emotionally anchored. You stop performing. Your life is filled with purpose. Your energy becomes selective. And most importantly, you are no longer afraid to walk away. That combination changes how you show up in the world. Not louder, not more impressive, but calmer, steadier, and harder to ignore. The Stoics never taught us to chase outcomes. They taught us to master the self. And when you live from that place, when you are whole without needing to be chosen, attraction becomes a byproduct, not a pursuit. Here's the practice I invite you to take with you. Don't rush to escape your single season. Use it. Build your life. Train your mind. Protect your energy. Let silence do its work. Let detachment sharpen your self-respect. And notice how differently people respond when you no longer need anything from them. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message resonated, take a moment to reflect. Share it with someone who might need it, and stay connected with this channel. We'll continue exploring Stoic wisdom for modern life, not to make life easier, but to make you stronger. I'll see you in the next video.